everything hinges on identity. It is the compass of our faith that aligns with the Holy Spirit to fulfill the Father's will. Wrapped up in identity is who we are, the purpose of our being, and every God-breathed promise that manifests as our success. Hello, I'm Laquita Monley, and I'm the author of Redefining Success, 8 Tools That I Use to Develop a Growth Mindset. In this amazing book, not only will I share with you 8 tools that I use for a growth mindset, but I'll also share the applicable principles based on God's word that you can easily implement in your life journey. So no matter where you are and no matter where you see yourself in the future, this book will be a tool that you need for your toolbox. Don't wait, get it today, and it can be found on Amazon by simply searching Redefining Success, 8 Tools That I Use for a Growth Mindset. Take care. Welcome back to another amazing episode of Laquita's Toolbox Live. I am your host, Laquita Monley, and y'all, let me tell you, I'm just going to say, this is the day that the Lord has made, and we are rejoicing, and we are glad in it. Listen, everybody, thank you. I'm going to give a few more people an opportunity to come on into the room, but I've got an amazing guest in studio with me today, and she is going to be giving us some great gems on what it means. Not only we're going to be talking about not only what it means to be a military family, but the topic of the hour is this: what do we need to do to prepare ourselves for properly transitioning from active duty service as a military family into full-on civilian life? And those changes, many people are going through that. And my guest today, Ms. Franchette Dyer, she is a subject matter expert on this, a fellow military spouse. I'm happy to have her. And y'all, I know this is going to be good. Like, I know this is going to be so good. Not just because Franchetta is the boss, but y'all would not believe the amount of drama that it took today to get on this broadcast. I'm like, oh my God, the devil is alive. So look, y'all, I see we got some folks coming in the room. Thank you so much. You guys, please hit those like, share, and subscribe buttons so that we could get this broadcast out to as many people as possible. Those of you that are joining us, I see we have someone joining us from the Facebook community. Thank you so much for joining us, dear Facebook user. And you're right, this episode is definitely a gem. It's one that you guys gonna want to go back and look at over and over. But before we do get jumping into the conversation, Ms. Franchetta, let me take a moment to thank our amazing sponsors at Covenant Press. They are a faith-based Christian apparel and accessory shop that is online, where we as believers can shop for clothing and accessories that allow us to wear the message of the love of Jesus Christ. Go out to www.covenant-press.com. Again, that's www.covenant-press.com. Shop until you drop, ladies and gentlemen. But don't click off of those pop-ups too quickly, because they contain valuable discount codes. When applied at checkout, you can receive some amazing savings. And best of all, you guys, Covenant Press is owned and operated by an active duty Air Force family. So listen, military community, let's get in and support Covenant Press. Believers, let's get in and support Covenant Press by shopping online. But without further ado, Miss Franchetta, how are you doing today? How was your day?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you for having me tonight.
Thank you for your yes and your patience.
We're military spouses, so we're used to this. We have to know how to transition.
Right, resiliency, right?
Yes.
Resiliency. Yeah. You got to keep it moving in the midst of transition. Keep it moving and find the solutions as you go. But look, take a moment to let everyone know who you are and what you do.
As you know, I'm Franchette Dyer, and I'm the CEO and founder of Vetech Business Services. And what we do here at Vetech Business Services is that we transition families. We
Yes.
first sit down with that service member and we make sure that we have a career path for them. Because Vetech Business Services, we don't do jobs, we do careers. That's the
Amen.
first thing you need to understand about us because we have to look for the future for you because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you can't see it. So the first thing we do is make sure that our service member is taken care of and make sure that they're on the right path to their goals. Then we go to the military spouse. And I feel that every military spouse should have a resume, no matter what you do, because you have to be prepared for the aha moments. And aha moments sometimes do come. So we want to give them a free resume. And then we go to their dependent. Most people forget about the dependents. But if you have 11th and 12th graders that are out there looking to go to college, they need a free resume. And that is what we also give to them. And we sit them down if they need help looking for scholarships, grants, thinking about certain degrees. We want to make
Mm.
sure they pick the right degree for their career path as well later on down the line. And then we even take care of your animals. We have other military spouses that can talk to your animals if they need help or they're acting up. So we transition families from the military.
Yes.
We don't
Yes.
transition just a service member. We do families. That's what makes us different. And we do it as a group. And we ask those hard questions. So I'm
Amen.
more of a resume writer, but I am a coach. I am an influencer. I am I am a resume. That is what I want my clients to walk around looking at is hashtag I am a resume.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Look, you just dropped some gems right there because as you were speaking, it made me think about, every time we talk, and I'm just always amazed at the value that you bring to the military family. Like the the transition process is not an easy process.
No.
And I know, we've had several conversations about it. And I love that you help the entire family transition because as I shared me and my family's story, as we were preparing for the transition, our total mindset was, how is this going to impact my husband? How is this going to, impact him psychologically, emotionally? How is that going to impact him shifting into a completely different lifestyle? Because for
Yes.
24 almost 25 years he
Mhm.
was a soldier,
Yes.
and in my opinion he was the best non-commissioned officer in the United States Army, and I'm entitled to that, and I will argue
Exactly.
anybody about that, okay? So
And so was mine. He was number
yes,
one too. That's, go Army.
go Army, right? So we were focusing on that we didn't put a lot of energy into thinking about how was that transition into civilian life going to impact me.
Yeah.
And even for even more into it, like, as you were saying, the services and the coaching that you provide as it related to our children, we
Yes.
didn't think about them at all until we were at Frankfurt in Frankfurt on the plane,
Yes.
and they said some things to us. They spoke to us, and they were teenagers at the time.
Mhm.
um, the two older ones were in college, but they had been going to college at the education center on Raffenbier.
Yes.
The youngest one was a freshman. He had all of my children had never known anything outside their dad being in the army. And so the
Yes.
questions that they asked us, well, will we still get to go on post? Do we still get to keep our ID card? How will this work? It's like you don't think about how that impacts that move will impact your entire household and the dog.
Yes.
We didn't
Because
think about how that would impact the dog,
nobody,
but
because
we
most of the time the animals start acting up and you're thinking they're being bad, but they're not. Your
they have
children start
anxiety.
acting differently. It's not
Yes.
that. No one thinks about the dependents. When you say
Hmm.
dependent, they normally think of the military spouse.
Hmm.
They normally say the military kid. No, the dependents are the military spouse and the children.
And the children, and
Yes. So,
two, the family pet.
yes.
um the family pet, very much so, because when we got here, not thinking about it,
Yeah.
we figure Inga is going to be okay. Inga is our boxer. you
Mhm.
know Inga's going to be okay. She's been with us, she's coming home with us. But just because Inga was with us did not mean that Inga was okay with being in this new environment. And we
Exactly.
ended up eventually having to take her to the vet to find out she had anxiety and separation. And the things that she was doing was a
Mhm.
result of that because we had her in this brand new place that she did not want to be in
No.
because she had spent her whole life in Germany. And
Yes.
now you bring me to Texas and it's 2 degrees cooler than hell. Like, what are you doing
Exactly.
to me?
Yes, exactly. Everybody transitions. So people forget that when you're transitioning, it is the entire family. It's not just
Yes.
that service member, because when he transitioned, he's not the mission anymore. Now,
Mm-hmm.
who is his battle buddy? His battle buddy
Exactly.
is the military spouse and his
Mm-hmm.
children, or her children,
Mm-hmm.
or just the spouse, depending on if you have dependents. So
Right.
everything changes. The dynamic in the family changes. Everyone has an opinion, but everybody is afraid to say it. So we
To say
step
something.
in and ask those hard questions. We ask
Yes.
about your finances before you even start trying to find a job. I need to know that you can be focused on that if your monies are good. Now, most people
Mm.
are going to worry about that. And so they can't start doing it now because Vetech Business do it. So don't start asking about your monies and if you're balanced and if you have joy. We do that because they're going to get tired of it. I've been doing this since
Yes.
the age of 16. So
Mm.
this is something that my parents taught us. And certain things you can't get in a book. You either have it
Right.
or you don't.
You have
Vetech,
to have that
yeah,
experience.
yeah. So
You have
Vetech Business have that experience because we've been doing it for over 30 something years. So it's important that we understand about transitioning the entire family.
that is so awesome. Listen, guys, if you are just tuning into the live, welcome, welcome, welcome. If you've been here since the beginning, thank you for sticking around. Look, guys, this is a great time to like, share, and subscribe to this broadcast because you want to know when we release new episodes, and that's every Thursday evening at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're right here broadcasting live across the various social media platforms: Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, wherever your favorite platform is, we are probably broadcasting it to you. So listen, thank you for tuning in. Get in the comment section. We want to hear from you. If you're a military family or you know military families, this broadcast has some great information, but we want to know your thoughts. Share your thoughts, share your experiences.
Mhm.
Don't be afraid to jump in the chat and engage in this conversation. We do want to hear from you. So again, when you get into the broadcast, get in the comments, let us know who you are, where you're from, and please, please, please add some value to this conversation. Now, I know that we're both military spouses, and there's, millions of military spouses across the globe, and we do a number of different things for both our vocations and our occupations. But
Yes.
you have chosen to specifically focus in on transitioning and helping the entire family transition.
Mhm.
What ignites your passion for the military family in that way? Like, what pushes you, and what's your why?
The reason why I focus on the military family is one word: homeless.
Mm, all
It's
right.
no reason
That's a
not.
powerful word.
There's no reason that a family of a military family should ever be homeless, not even a
Yeah.
service member,
Yeah. Yeah.
because
That's real
for
good.
us,
That's
we
real
are very
good.
compassionate about that. And what I mean by that is, when I say that we take care of the whole family, we
Mm-hmm.
ask them about benefits.
Mm,
We make sure that, are you going to the VA? And if they're not, we know people who can help them.
that's good.
So
That's good.
homelessness is that is my word, because it's no excuse for a military family to be homeless or
Mm-hmm.
without a career. I don't want to
Yes.
say jobs, because vet tech business like to do careers so that you
Amen.
can have it for longevity, so you can
Amen.
make something of your family, so you all can be stable. So it's very
Amen.
important to me that when I have clients, we look at careers. I don't do jobs. I do
Yes.
careers to make sure that they are stable within their family as one unit.
As one unit. That's real good because homelessness in the military community happens more often than people realize.
Yes.
And I live outside of Fort Hood. It's the biggest military installation out of all of the branches, bar none. It's the biggest one. And we have an amazing amount of homeless
Mhm.
veterans. And to be fair, even some active duty and reservists. And
Yes,
people might be listening to this and thinking to yourselves, well, how are you homeless and you affiliated with the military? Life happens.
yes,
They don't care. Life happens, and it happens without your permission.
correct. And a lot of
And so,
times,
yeah,
they have to be prepared. So again, you have to prepare that service member. You have to prepare them so that they are ready to transition. And people forget who they're talking to. That's why it's
yes,
important to know your audience. And what I
yes,
mean by that is when they're talking to transitioning service members, they stand up and they let them know you can do anything that you want to do. That is
hmm,
not a true statement. You cannot do
come on,
anything. We need to we need to hone in
yeah,
on what you are really great at. And so
great
when
at
I sit
yes,
down and talk to them for less than 15 minutes, I can already do their career path and tell them what jobs they can do and pretty much create that resume for them so that when they look at that resume, they
hmm,
they sit up like this
yeah,
instead of like this.
yes,
I mean,
yes, come
take
on,
pride in themselves. I
hmm,
show them this is what you have accomplished out of 1 year, 4 years, 10 years,
yes,
21 years, 30 years. It's no little, people or big people. And what I mean by
hmm,
that is a specialist is just as important as my three-star general or
come
my
on now, that's
lieutenant
real
colonel.
good. That's real good.
Everybody is treated the same across the board, which is called
That's real good.
respect. And that is
That's
what
real
we do.
good.
We have to make sure that these families understand about transitioning. You have
Hmm.
to know who you're talking to because
Yes.
if I'm still a green suitor and I'm talking to someone who's transitioning and they're
Hmm.
not fully out, and I say to
Hmm.
them, I want you to do A, B, C, D, and never get a resume done. They're
Mm.
still in the mindset of still being a service member.
Yes.
So they're
Yes.
going to believe what you tell them. I've had
Yes.
people wait 2 years to come back to me to ask for help because people told them, don't do this, don't do
Hmm.
that.
Come
And
on.
that's
That's real good.
yeah.
That's real
So you
good.
have to know your audience. So when I'm
Hmm.
speaking to individuals, I make sure they understand here is what I can give you.
Hmm.
Do you want my help?
Right.
And
Right.
even if they don't use Vetech Business Services, I still give them tips to help them in their next career.
Awesome. That's so like I remember when my husband was going through the TAP process. And I went to a couple of
Mhm.
sessions with him that was recommended to bring your spouse. And we purposely signed up at that time, it was called Boots to Business,
Okay.
because we knew that one of the things we wanted to do upon his retirement would be become successful entrepreneurs.
Yes.
But we needed to know what was the good place to start. We wanted to know
Yes.
what was the military offering in way of assistance and who could set us up, got it, tracking. So with that helped us a great deal. But
Mhm.
I also noticed in some of those classes, especially the resume writing and all of that, it was highly recommended that you don't pay for a resume.
Correct.
Um, and then we happened to have some conversations. My husband was a coach
Mhm.
for the football team for CYS, and
Mhm.
had some conversation with some of the parents who had already transitioned out and they were civilians.
Mhm.
And so the information that we got from them was the exact opposite of what was given to us in TAPS. It's like, no, you need to pay for that. You need
Yes.
to pay for that because there's so many nuances to this in the translation of your active duty certificates, your job descriptions, the different things that you have on how to write it in a way that it won't get kicked out by at that time it was the Resumex for USA
Yes, it
jobs
was
and
Resumex, and it was easier though. With
yeah.
Resumex, it was easier because that's how I started my company in Germany. I heard two
Mm,
service members say they couldn't make a list, and I
yep.
told them I could help them, and that's how I
Right.
started overseas with doing resumes, and I started helping enlisted because at one point, and I'm very compassionate about enlisted, they would always
Absolutely.
tell enlisted that you could be a GS5 or 7 or 9.
Hmm.
And so I wanted to go against the odds. And so I
Yeah.
did. So I made sure
Right.
that my enlisted are 13s, 14s, 15s, and on up.
And on
Yes.
because really depending upon what your career field is, what certifications you made sure you got while you were on active
Yes.
duty, civilian education, military education, experience, all of these great things, especially as you get to be senior non-coms.
Mhm.
It didn't make sense to, I mean, nothing wrong with a GS5, GS6, GS7, 8, or 9. Nothing wrong with
I
that.
was those. I was a
You know,
GS4 when I came in, and I had an MBA. So
ex- exactly. Like
this is
that,
what you have
make that
to
make
look at.
sense.
Yes, but
Right.
you have to look at it and understand TDAs and and manpower. So
Mm-hmm.
when I speak about manpower, I'm talking about, what is your TDAs? What is the highest grade in that area? And sometimes the
Right.
highest grade in that area is a GS6. So you got to
Mm,
know different things about, about the government side as far
mm-hmm.
as the GS, because you will be thinking, well, I'm equivalent to a 13, but they only have a 9. So you may have
Mm,
to apply for a 9. So you have to understand the TDAs, manpower. What does that really look like before you just decide to say, I don't want to do this? But then back to the resume, you have to be able to talk your resume. Back during
come on, that's
resume,
good.
it wasn't that big of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
But as they changed the systems, everything got kicked out. If you didn't have this, if you didn't have that, but they start making mistakes as well. So you have
Mm,
to know what you want. That's the
right,
first
right.
thing. Before you even get out of the military, they may not tell you this, but 120 days is not enough time to have a resume.
Come
Most of
on
my
now.
clients had resumes and they was 15 years in, 20 years
Come
in.
on.
Their resume was already there. All we had to do is go back and retweak it, and I'd already taught them how to understand USA jobs. So
Right.
most of my clients don't come back because I have them set up for the grade that they're in, the next grade, and the grade after that. So they don't
You
need
have
to come back because they already prepped and prepared for the future.
for
And
the
that's
future.
the difference with vet tech. We try to sit down and make sure that in most cases you have to keep coming back and forth. I don't need to see you 4 or 5 times, because if I got to
All
see you
right.
4 or 5 times, I haven't done my job.
Come on, that's good. That's
So I
good.
have to make sure that resume is where your family can excel and you can make profit and you can get promoted.
Listen, y'all, if you just tuned in, you missing some gems. But don't worry, this is a podcast. It's a live stream. Hashtag replay is in effect. You could go back, rewind this thing, and listen to it because I already knew Miss Franchetta was gonna drop gems on us. Listen, military family, the family members of military families,
Mhm.
share this broadcast. She is giving great, great wisdom for military families. And what you just said, look, y'all hit them like, share, and subscribe. Get this out because this can bless some people. It can bless a whole lot of people because that 120 days don't that's a drop in the bucket. Like that's you on crash mode, like you're trying to do
Yes.
too many things in such a short amount of time. And I know, like when Ben was getting ready to come to retirement, the recommended time at that point to start your process was 2 years out. But we also know that just because that's recommended, don't mean you was gonna get in them classes. So if we
Correct.
already know the standard says you need 2 years out before you do it,
Hmm.
before you drop that packet to start doing these things,
Yes.
then you probably should go into if you at 15 years and you know you're gonna do 20, you need to look at
Yes.
what you're doing at year 15. Do
Yes.
I need a degree? What do I need a degree in? What
Mhm.
can I be doing in these last few years to prepare me for where I want to go? And that's something that Miss Franchetta just dropped on you. But one of the other things that she just really explained was she gave a little bit of insight into how the GS system really works. And
Mhm.
so what I'd love for you to do right now is either dispel the error or give let me say it like this, give us some truth on, well, just take this GS position now and you can work your way up in the system.
Okay, that's a true and false statement.
Come
Okay.
on, let's talk about it.
Now, depending on how you was picked up, if you
Mm-hmm.
picked up from the VRA or VEOA, different statuses allow you to do different things.
Yes.
VRA 3 years, VEOA 10 years. Now you're going into a whole different area. So you have to know what how they picked you. If they picked you off of this list or that list, and what was the status? Was it VRA? Was it military spouse? Was it VEOA? How were you picked up? Okay. So a lot of people don't ask that. They just get it. And then when I ask them, they don't
I mean,
know.
people don't even know to ask it though.
But the reason why they don't know, because during the 120 days while you out processing in taps, you are on your phone looking at, I need to get housing. I need to make sure everything is being moved.
Mm,
Do my daughter's son have school ready? That's not top priority for them, is to look at
right,
that resume. Top
right,
priority is that I'm about to retire. I got to make sure retirement's ready. If we buying a home, is my family safe?
right,
Resume
right.
writing is important, but normally it kind of passes by, because I went to taps and stood outside the door and watched them. See,
Mm-hmm.
in my class, you wouldn't have a phone, but when you
Come on,
walked out, you would have a government resume.
a
So
government
you
resume.
were ready to
Yep.
apply for a position when you walked out the door.
See, I
That's
love
the
that.
difference.
Now, break that down in the difference of the resume types, whether you're going in to apply for, because I know, let me just talk about for probably when our spouses were in, and we talking old Army 30, 40 years ago,
Mhm,
but seem like current Army, that way of thinking is still lingering, and
mhm,
it's having some negative impact on some senior non-coms, and probably even some field grade officers or junior officers who thought that my bachelor's degree was just going to be enough. It'll get me where I need to go in my rank. Or with the senior non-coms, I don't have to worry about getting my bachelor's or my master's or whatever. I'm going to just stay in my field. And if I can't get into GS, I'm going to walk into the contracting.
mhm.
Help us get rid of that erroneous way of thinking. Like,
Well, you have so many people that they're in the government. So when they the government system, so when they say that to service members who are getting out, they're going to take their word. I worked at CPAC. I've been manpower. I've been a personnel assistant. Um, I've done in-out processing. I've downsized a whole finance battalion. I've done TDAs. All RIFs. I've done it all. The problem is, you need to understand that in some cases, I know they say this a lot on LinkedIn, that if you're this rank, then this is your GS level. They go by ranks. But
yep.
what would you say if you have a person that has an associate degree that's a GS 14 that retired as a master sergeant? Oh, that's
Come
one of
on.
my clients. Or a
Come on.
sergeant first class that got some education. He's a 13. So for me, I go against the odds. I'm the
Right.
one that go against the odds. That's why I call myself a badass military spouse.
Come
I
on
don't
now.
let someone tell me how to take care of my clients.
Come
That's
on.
not the
That's real
problem.
good.
So a lot of people are going to agree with me, and a lot of them won't. But guess what? I'm okay with it. I'm still not going
But
to change what
you
I
can't
say.
argue with results.
So what I do is I look at what they have to offer, and then I
Hmm.
can tell them what career path they need to go and what grade level they need to be at.
Right.
That's how I sit down with every family member after I break them down. So it depends, because a lot of times they're going to tell you you have to have a doctorate for this, a master's and BS. In some cases, certain things do need to have a degree. It depends on the position that you're applying for,
Hmm.
that you'll have to have certain certifications.
Hmm.
But before you just go panicking, you need to come talk to me. I'll give you 30 minutes for free, but that's
Okay.
all you get, between 15 minutes and 30 minutes. After that, the clock starts ticking. Okay.
Right. Come
But
on now. That,
you really
but
do
this
need
is
to take
information that you
time
need to
out.
invest in.
Yes, but you have to take time out and close out everybody and pick the company that's best for you to help
Right.
you transition. And a lot of times, yes, they will tell you don't pay for a resume.
Hmm.
And guess what? Don't, if that's what you want to do. But no
Hmm.
one ever told me what I could not do, because
Come
they
on.
didn't offer to help me. No
Come
one
on.
offered to tell me these things. I had to research and learn off of trial and error. And in 9 years being overseas, military spouses, I never interviewed for a job. I knew
Come
how to
on.
network. And
Come
if you
on.
don't know how to network and you do it correctly by the
Hmm.
book, believe me, when my husband was moving to Bergsburg and he was in Grafenwehr, I was actually already reaching out to people. Hello, I am Franchette Dyer. I know you need an
Hmm.
admin assistant. I can do RPA. All I need is yes or no. Yes. Okay, thank you.
Right.
So
Right.
you have to know how to network. And a lot
That's
of
it.
times your pride is on your shoulder because of your degrees. But when
Mm-hmm.
you're in a foreign country, you need to play by the rules and
Come
understand
on.
that you're going to have to do some work.
Yes.
GS4 for me, I started out as a GS4,
Mm-hmm.
but the things that I've done, some of the things that I've been in and saw, most military spouses have not seen them, but probably officers have.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
again, you have to understand the right attitude. You have to have the right attitude when you are transitioning because you was called sir. When I speak to you, I'm going to call you by your first name, either Keith, Bob, Joe, Harry, because in
The civilian.
corporate America, they're not about to call you Colonel dot 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 or General.
Not at all.
They're not. Now they're going to give you that respect because you are a general. But
Right.
most of the time, some people who have never heard about the military or who
Mm-hmm.
don't like the military, it's not
Mm-hmm.
going to give you that type of respect.
Come
And
on, that's
that's
real good.
another thing you have to think about as you write your resume is who are you presenting it to? Please stop putting secret clearance on all of your resumes and you're not applying for a
A
secret
job
clearance
that requires it. Yeah.
because you're telling too many people.
Come
I
on.
was in Germany doing 9/11. So that's why I'm very adamant about don't put all these secret clearances and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And another gem that you really need to remember is just because certain awards you got, they
Mm-hmm.
don't need to be on the resume. I talked about this before. I had a client that did not want to take off his Purple Heart.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, I said, it's not that it's not important, but I need you to understand that's going to open some doors.
Mm-hmm.
He suffered with PTSD.
Mm.
He left it on there because at the end of the day, I can't make you do anything now. I'm not a bully, but I'm 4'11" and I kind of know some things. I've kind of been around for a while.
You're
But when he
4'11.
well, when he went to the interview, guess what? They started asking him, oh, you got a Purple Heart. So how did you get it? What happened? They started asking questions that took his PTSD to a whole different level.
Another level. Yeah.
Because guess what? They weren't in the service and this was something new to them. They'd heard about it, but can you tell me your experience?
Mm-hmm.
No. And he said, Miss Dyer, I think we need to take that off. I said, are you sure? Yes. So you have to know what to put on the resume and what to leave off as well.
Right. So I love that what you've covered there because that has me thinking about not just the resumes, but the LinkedIn profiles, your
Mhm,
other social media profiles, your where you get, your header, that
mhm,
first thing that people are going to see that describes who you are and what you bring to the table. What's
mhm,
your value? Why?
mhm.
How can you be of value to the company? And I love that. I see a lot of times because my husband was in the Intel community, and so we're friend. So a lot of my LinkedIn friends are, of course, from
Yeah.
that our time as a military family, and I guarantee you, 99.99% of them have that TSI,
Mhm,
poly or whatever they have. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
TSTCSI. They have all of that in their LinkedIn descriptions, but what does that have to do with anything um, on your LinkedIn?
Yes. I
You know.
understand that companies want to see that because some companies look for that. That is what they are researching for. But you may want to hide it within the resume so they can still
Within,
see it, but you
so
might
like within your
hide it.
about section.
Yes, but
Yeah.
again, everyone will have their own opinion on a resume. So let's
Hmm.
make sure we understand that. And also, if one of my clients, I do a resume for them, and then a recruiter tell them I don't like this resume, I want it done like A B C D E F G. We flip
Hmm.
it real quick and put it A B C D E
Yeah.
F G because they're
Right.
trying to get a job. So
Right.
understand that a resume is never, hear this clearly, is
Mhm.
never written in stone. You will
So
have to change it
the
until you find
resume
out your
that
career.
so the resume that you would use for USA jobs, is it in the same format or layout as a resume that you would use with a contractor? Because you're mentioning a recruiter. So getting your information in the hands of the recruiter
Mhm.
in these big contracting, for the contracting world, how different does that resume need to look? Something that I'm going to submit to USA Jobs versus something that I'm going to submit to one of these contracting companies.
It's going to vary because and I'll give my example. When I went for my contracting job in DC, my government resume was good for them. I didn't break
Okay.
out a professional resume. It's going to be determined, So what I would do is I would ask, what is the format that you prefer for
Okay.
me to be in, for my
Okay.
resume to be in? Because you can ask that question, because they may
Right.
say, we just want 2 pages, bullet point. Well,
Okay.
some people want to see what you've done for the military, and that's good, because they can
Hmm.
look at it and say, okay, yes, they actually did hold this position. Yes, they did do this. And others will only want 2 pages. So it will vary.
It
I,
will vary.
yes, ma'am, because I think every contract company is different. Some contract companies, just like I said, they took my USA job resume, but then
Mhm.
another contract company I had only wanted 2 pages. So
Only
it
wanted two
depends
pages.
on who you are applying with and what is their format for resume submission.
For resumes.
Mhm.
So, so basically my takeaway is it depends upon the employer's preference, whether we're trying to stay in the GS world,
Yes,
whether we are trying to go into the government contracting world, and even maybe in the true civilian sector, coming into corporate America and just walking away
yes,
from federal government, well, state government,
yeah,
or into true civilian world, corporate America.
yeah,
It depends upon what the company wants or needs, or what the state government might want or need to see from you. So
yes,
it's not a one thing, one
fit
size
all.
fits all.
No, because even in the USA Jobs part of it, USA Job has a little format that you can put your information in. And my format is different than theirs. So
Okay.
I upload my resumes. So it's different. And sometimes they'll have it where it should look more like a professional resume,
Hmm.
which I know for a fact has none of the words in it. And people who have gotten, normally people who have put a 2 page resume in for a USA job had the hookup. They won't tell you that, but 9 times out of 10, that's what they
Yes.
have, because
It
none
was
of the
the
none
job
of
was
the
already
keywords are there.
designed for them in the beginning. They just
Yes,
had to go through the formality.
yes.
So let's talk about that a little bit. I know we winded down on our time, but that's
Mhm.
important. I'm really glad you said that.
Okay.
So as because to me, as a military spouse,
Hmm.
we understand that there are some unwritten things
Yes.
that go on in our culture, and
Hmm.
that certain jobs are left for certain spouses of
Hmm.
certain key leaders. And
Yes.
so even though those jobs are open and available for a
Hmm.
short period of time, or they may never close, like it's just
Right.
always open, but you
Yes.
got 99,000 spouses applying, but nobody's getting the job. I really love that you said that. So
Yes.
to to help other military spouses, military dependents,
Okay.
don't get discouraged if your resume, if you're not picked up for certain positions, because as Franchetta just said, sometimes those positions have been designed specifically for a particular individual, but
Yes.
the law got to be followed. So
Yes.
they
Because
got to open it, they got to
correct.
accept applications.
Yes, and normally I can read a job announcement and tell you what rank that job announcement is for, because I can
Hmm.
start reading parts and I'm like, okay, that's not what they would. Okay, this is for this level of individual. Because I had a client, it was funny. I did a resume for her, and she wanted to apply for a position, and I guess she was testing me, and I didn't know, so I
Hmm.
told her the rank it was for, and she said, that's funny because that is for my colonel. That's his position out there. They're not going to pick anyone but him.
But him, yep,
So
exactly.
again, don't get discouraged because of that. It is
Hmm.
little tricks that you have to do in USA jobs, whereas before you did not have to. And people are going to say, well, don't say that. Yes, you need to know that.
You
That's
need to know that up front. Yeah.
yes, because if you don't, you will not make a list most of
Right.
the time, and
Most of the
depending
time.
on that resume and how you answer questions. So
Hmm.
again, you have to know what you want and make sure that when you put that resume out there, that you check the check mark that says searchable. Because I've
Hmm.
had too many people tell me, Miss Dyer, I'm not making the referral list. And when I go look at everything, they don't even have the check mark checked to make their resume searchable.
Searchable. Okay, that's real good. Look, y'all, we have been having a great conversation. I see we had a couple of more people pop in. Miss Lori, thank you for coming on to the live. Chris Sanders, my brother, thank you for coming on the live. We've got a few more Facebook users that have come into the conversation. We appreciate you. Miss Lachelle Atkins, America's Supermom, and fellow military spouse. Thank you for coming into the live. I hope you guys have been blessed by this conversation. Miss Franchetta has been dropping tools, usable, practical tools, y'all. Military family, y'all need this information. Family members of other military families, y'all get this in their hands.
Yes.
I really love how you just broke that down and reading the position of my sister-in-law is a relatively new military spouse to me. My brother-in-law hasn't been active duty very long, and she had applied for a couple of positions, and she was discouraged because she couldn't understand she was overqualified for some of the positions. And we had a conversation, and what we ended up talking about in that conversation is exactly what you just said, baby. This was written for a particular person.
Yes.
Don't be discouraged. You
Oh,
saw
no,
it, and then it was gone for a reason. Like, it's not that you didn't qualify because you're not capable of doing the job. It wasn't meant for anybody else but a particular person.
But it's two things that you need to remember. Okay. Make the resume searchable. But if you should happen to get the hookup, please go back and do a resume that is a USA Job resume. Because guess what? What happens if the person who hooked you up decides to leave and you don't like that position no more and you have a crappy resume?
Come on. You better talk about it.
So you might as well go ahead, pay someone, go do it for free, but do something and have it professional, because that's a representation of you. So if you want to be lazy and give a 2-page resume that looks like crap, that represents you. That don't represent them, because then when you get tired of that position, you still got to go back and get a resume done, and you could have done it right the first time.
Right, the first time. Or even you make me think about, especially those that are stationed overseas. Not that spousal preference doesn't work in country, but that's usually, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but that's usually something that's a really big thing when we're overseas. And if you've got that position under spousal preference and you got the hookup, and your service member either ETSs because they got a job and you stayed in country, or they retired and got a job with SOFA agreement and you stayed in country, and now you have to reapply for your job.
Yes, well, it's not even reapplying, because you have to again see if your management is willing to see if they can get you on your own status. And that normally means that you have to reapply for your job. And if you're not in the top 3 and a vet blocks you, you could lose your job. So normally they'll just close it out. They wanted me to get my status, and I was a management analyst, and two veterans blocked me, but they really hadn't been doing the job. A lot of times service members just put stuff on their resume so they can make the list. But so then when you talk to them, they still active duty. And I think that's why they start putting different rules into place. But it allowed them also to see where their grade level was as well. And if their resume was good to go, then they just put it aside. The second thing is this: just because you don't get on a referral list, you need to check why they told you didn't make it. This is a free gem. Now, I know you're not going to do it.
Look, she done gave y'all a lot of free gems tonight, so y'all better reach out to her when she give you her contact information. That's what needs to happen.
Yeah, so really what happened was, one of my clients, they told her she didn't make the list. I looked at it and I was like, go ask them this specific question. And she did. She got a 12.
Come on.
So what I'm telling you is this: just because they tell you they don't, do some homework. Get off your butt. This is your resume. This is your career path, and do some work.
Yes. Come on.
Don't just rely on USA Job and someone telling you that you didn't qualify. Go back and look and say, hold on, I do have this. I do have that. Here you go.
Yes.
So it is important that you understand that, because if you don't, many people have let individuals tell them they didn't make the list and they leave it at that. My clients, no, I give them questions to ask so they understand if they truly didn't make it. And some of them have come back to say, Ms. Dyer, I got the job, because they didn't see this, or this.
Yes.
It's accountability as well. when you're doing resumes with me and I'm talking to the whole family, everybody is held accountable. And that's very important. And another thing is that when you're on USA Jobs, I know you all like to have 15 different resumes, but you have to pick one resume to have searchable. Just understand that. It has to be only one resume. So
That's
choose
searchable.
wisely.
Come
Remember
on.
the reason why I said that? You need to come have a meeting with me to find out that answer. But
Come
you
on.
need to have one resume searchable.
Searchable. Look, y'all, this has been the most impactful um, interview that I've had. Like, I've had several great interviews in this 2023 that the Lord has made. But this right here has been truly impactful because just as the military family, because of the prevalence of homelessness is your motivation, the same thing with me as a military spouse. My motivation is I there was a lot of years that I was a military spouse and could not figure out why I couldn't get a GS job. I couldn't get a NAV job. I couldn't get a wage grade job. Then I switched over to contracting. I couldn't get a contracting job until somebody sat down and gave me some wisdom and gave me an opportunity, opened the door for us. I went 10 years thinking I wasn't good enough to get into these jobs. It really messed with my head until somebody took the time, as they say, put me on game, and then I got into these positions. So I'm very passionate about giving information and being a point of contact for military spouses. You don't have to have that struggle. You
No.
do not have to have that struggle that a lot of military spouses have today because they don't understand how the system works.
Yes.
They don't know how to work within it. So y'all, look, get in contact with Franchette. That there is no excuse. There is no excuse. She already told you she's gonna give you 30 minutes for free. And in them 30 minutes, you're gonna want to make the investment. Look, she done gave you how what we at, girl? I can't see because I'm on this phone, y'all. She done gave us about 47 minutes for free. Well, let's say she done gave us 45, count out 2 minutes for my little commercials.
No, but
She
also you can go to my website and get a free professional resume. My daughter went and did a free professional resume and she got her job um,
come,
at a really good night, well, a very Fortune 500 company.
come
And
on.
she's,
Listen.
so, and she's
And you
doing,
said that's a free resume.
yes, a free resume is on my
Listen, y'all
site.
don't got no excuses now. You
But once you
have
get
no
the free
excuses.
resume, you need to reach out to me because then I'm going to train you on how to use it and show
Mm-hmm.
you some other areas that can help you look for a job as well.
Listen, come on now. Miss Candy Guma, Miss Candy Martin, thank you for popping in the line. Candy says she done shared this in her group, and she has an amazing group on Facebook, y'all. Look, share this. More y'all that's popping in on the live and the replay. Share this to as many people as possible because it's going to be a blessing in more ways than you know because it got to a point where it wasn't even about the financial need that we had or didn't have. It really had to do with my mental and spiritual well-being where this is, you know, why, my service member is growing in rank, our family is growing, I got the education, I'm doing these things, Lord, what is happening? I didn't understand the system. This is going to be so much more of a blessing, way greater than money, that
Yeah.
you were being able to give to a military family by hitting that share button. It's free, y'all. Hit the share button. It's free. It don't cost nothing. It take
No.
like 3 seconds. Click share and send it to somebody. We got Miss Linda Gray just popped in. Hello, Miss Linda. Thank you. And thank you for the LinkedIn family that has popped in. She says, yes, this is such a blessing. Her husband served in Vietnam and her daughter is a disabled veteran. And this information is valuable. Absolutely, Miss Linda.
Yeah.
This information is valuable. Look, Miss Franchetta,
Mm-hmm.
what is your contact information? How can the people reach out to you and get on your calendar?
You can find me on LinkedIn, Franchette Dyer. You can go to my website, www.vetechbusiness, business services, all one word.com.
Look,
But you
yeah,
can
my
always just connect with me on Instagram. Is the same thing, Franchette Dyer. And then if you want to talk to me on LinkedIn, reach out to me. Again, it's a free resume there for the whole family. So even if you don't use my services, have a conversation with me and I will leave you with some tips that can help you get a career. Because again, I don't do jobs, I do careers. So I don't believe in hopping around unless it's a purpose.
mm-hmm.
So
Unless it's the
just
reason.
know that I'm very excited about, helping the military families.
Awesome, awesome. Miss Franchetta, thank you again.
Thank you.
I really appreciate your yes and your patience. And I know absolutely without a shadow of a doubt why the enemy was fighting this conversation. Okay.
Thank you.
I I know why the enemy was fighting this conversation. It has been such a blessing to have you. Before we go, is there anything else that you would like to share with the Toolbox audience?
The one thing I would like to share is before you even transition, start looking at yourself as someone that has value
Mm,
in different positions in your family.
yes.
Just because
Yeah.
you're transitioning doesn't mean that you're not valued anymore because you're a
Come on. That's
service
good.
member. Just
That's good.
because you transition over, you are still important to us.
Come
You
on.
know, remember through 9/11, we remember it well.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
every service member, Vietnam, my father was World War II. He had PTSD. My mother taught us how to handle it when he was asleep because he would still have conversations.
Mm,
And the thing that I
yes.
love most about doing this job is you all, the service members and their families,
Yes.
understand that you still have value.
Yes.
You still have a mission. You still have a purpose.
Yes.
And
Yes.
don't let no one, a recruiter, tell you that because they take 10 seconds to look at your resume that you're not qualified.
Come on.
You
Come
keep
on.
pushing because, again, maybe if they would take a little bit more time with some of our service members and military spouses, they wouldn't be
Hmm.
having turnovers right now in these
Come
different
on.
companies.
Let's talk
So
about
yes,
it.
I'm going to
Let's talk
always
about it.
push for the military family, and I'm
Hmm.
always going to push for us having employment. Military spouses, you have a voice, speak it.
Come on.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes. That is so wonderful. Look, y'all, we're going to have to have Miss Franchetta on for a part two. As long as you open, sis, I'm open. We're going to have to
I'm
have you
open.
back. Yes, we're going to have to have you back on for a part two because that right there was a mic drop. Because I don't think a lot of people realize how when you've spent 20, 30, 40 years of service as
Mhm,
a family,
mhm.
and then you come into the civilian world, how that impacts your total self,
Yes,
especially in the area of knowing I have value. My
yes,
value did not decrease
no,
simply because I'm no longer serving my country in this capacity.
correct.
I'm no longer serving, but I
Yes,
still am that same valuable person that I was when I was sitting in these command positions,
yes,
and even as a military spouse, if I'm transitioning
yes,
and you've discovered in this transition you can no longer keep that GS, that NAP,
yes.
that contracting or whatever, and you're bought and you go home to your small town America
Mhm.
and you're like, what, who am I? What value do I have to bring? What can I do? No, we have value.
Always,
We have
always.
value always. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Miss Franchetta.
You're
Y'all, I
welcome.
know this broadcast done looked a little strange because I'm on this camera. And normally I'd be putting some things in the chat, but don't worry about it. I'm going to go back and make sure that all of Miss Franchetta's contact information is in the comment section of everywhere that we're broadcasting live to.
Thank
So
you.
if you
Thank you.
didn't get it, check the chat. If you did not get it, check the chat. Give me about 30 minutes, y'all, to get to everything. To all these places we're streaming. But all of her information will be out there. And I highly recommend rewatching, share, and reach out to Miss Franchetta. I see that Miss Linda says, Miss Franchetta, thank you for encouragement. Laquita, thank you for your platform, and she will share as well. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Miss Linda. Yes, we appreciate you. We appreciate you. Look,
Yes.
guys, it has been a blessing. I don't want to overrun my time with Miss Franchetta because I'm trying to get her to agree to come back on for a part two so she can share some more wisdom and re-emphasize this wisdom, because I know for me, watching the replay is great, but I like to ask questions to people. So we might reshare some of this information again and
Mhm.
give the people who didn't get a chance to catch it live this time an opportunity to catch you live next time
Okay.
and get some questions answered.
No
Amen. Amen. But listen, y'all be blessed and have an amazing rest of your evening. Take care. Everything hinges on identity. It is the compass of our faith that aligns with the Holy Spirit to fulfill the Father's will. Wrapped up in identity is who we are, the purpose of our being, and every God-breathed promise that manifests as our success. Hello, I'm Laquita Monley, and I'm the author of Redefining Success, 8 Tools That I Use to Develop a Growth Mindset. In this amazing book, not only will I share with you 8 tools that I use for a growth mindset, but I'll also share the applicable principles based on God's word that you can easily implement in your life journey. So no matter where you are and no matter where you see yourself in the future, this book will be a tool that you need for your toolbox. Don't wait, get it today, and it can be found on Amazon by simply searching Redefining Success, 8 Tools That I Use for a Growth Mindset. Take care.